Hey, what is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. On today's video, I am actually introducing a certain industry and sector that I have not talked about before, and that is going to be the psychedelic industry. Now, the company in which we are talking about today is going to be Entheon BioMedical, ticker symbol ENBI, and I'm very excited to present this industry to you all because I truly believe that it has some massive growth opportunity. Now, whenever we do consider the overall state of society at the moment, one thing that I want to take a look at is if we go back about 30 to 40 years. If we go back into maybe about the 1960s and 1980s range, even some of the 90s, whenever we think about cannabis, whenever we think about psychedelics, or anything even remotely similar, they were somewhat demonized. They were almost made out to be these evil things that would really just ruin a person's life, that would just absolutely crush society, that should be banned all around. Well, it seems like in the last 4 to 5 years especially, people have really started to pay attention to the capabilities of things such as psychedelics and cannabis, and why they can play such a beneficial factor to a person's health, well-being, and overall state of life. Now, whenever it comes to psychedelics and cannabis, I would say, of course, cannabis is growing in popularity much faster as we have seen legalization of it, decriminalization of it, and it has been really growing in popularity. Well, I think psychedelics are in the same place that cannabis was in maybe only 3 or 4 years ago. Like I said, people are starting to really pay attention to the capabilities of what this overall industry can do for a person, how it can treat certain things, and I truly believe that Entheon BioMedical is one of those companies that is going to be at that forefront of this big wave of psychedelics, and I truly believe that they have loads of potential. Now, even though today's video is a sponsored video, I truly believe that this is one of those companies that really has so much potential that it is worth at least paying very close attention to and maybe even adding to your watch list. Now, of course, I am not at all a financial advisor, and this is for entertainment purposes only, so definitely do your own research. But with that being said, let's go deeper into it and let's see what all Entheon BioMedical is all about. Ticker symbol ENBI. So Entheon BioMedical is a pioneering and leading edge addiction recovery solution that harnesses and optimizes the therapeutic potential of the DMT molecule. Entheon exists to invert the addiction recovery ratio, turning the untreatable case and lost cause from the norm to the exception. We are committed to the legal development of regulated, safe, and effective therapies and in educating the public, very important, and medical profession as to the efficacy of psychedelic protocols when clinically administered in the optimum setting. So I think that's very important. As I said, educating the public is going to be one of those aspects of this overall business and industry that is going to vary. It's going to be a make it or break it, because the reason I say that is because people don't know what they don't know. Right? And so if you're trying to boost psychedelics, if you're really trying to get it out there and make people understand it, you have to educate them on the potential. That's always the thing, right? Because they're not just going to find it by themselves, and realistically, people aren't going to step out of their comfort zone if they don't need to. As they do say here, that these people who are just lost causes or untreatable cases at the moment when it comes to addiction are the norm. And so as that is just the norm in society, realistically, no one is going to try to find solutions to that, as it seems like people have just accepted that addiction is just a part of society, and that is what it is. Well, Entheon BioMedical doesn't accept that. They're not going to settle for that, as we will take a look here in a second, because the numbers are absolutely frightening. As we can see here from some statistics, that 21.2 Americans have a substance use disorder. In 2018, only 11% of those patients received the treatment that they needed. Whenever we do take it into a broad perspective of just the United States, we can see that these numbers are absolutely insane. There's about 95,000 deaths every single year from 2011 to 2015 due to alcohol use, 50,000 deaths to opioid use, and 480,000 deaths due to the use of smoking. Now, overall instances and how common it is, there was 41 million instances of alcohol addiction, 2.1 million cases of opioid addiction, and 34.2 million cases of smoking addictions in the U.S. alone. In the U.S. alone. Now, whenever it comes to treatment, who's all receiving treatment? It's not high. Only 4.4% of Americans are receiving treatment for alcohol addiction, 17.5% for opioid addiction, which is better. And gladly, there are cessation interventions that are widely available for smoking addiction, so that one is definitely one that has worked. But as we can see here, alcohol and realistically opioid abuse, they're really not getting the treatment that they need. Whenever it comes to annual economic impact, how much it's costing the overall economy, which isn't really the main focus of this here, but it is a good idea to, just figure out exactly what the overall the impact is going to be. It's $249 billion for alcohol abuse, $78.5 billion for opioid abuse, and $300 billion for smoking abuse. So all around, it is just truly a very, very detrimental aspect to society, and it's something that is sad to see that we have just widely accepted. So how is Entheon BioMedical going about solving this problem? Well, it says that they are developing a DMT-assisted therapeutic protocol that will be specifically tailored to address the core mechanisms underlying drug seeking and using behavior. Our chief aim is to provide an effective and scalable therapeutic protocol that will serve as a vital resource for those afflicted with a substance use disorder and who are wanting to reclaim their lives. So they are basically making a tailor-made solution whenever it comes to the use of the molecule of DMT to provide to people going through things and dealing with things such as depression, anxiety, even addictions in themselves. And so with all of this, they are using DMT to try to solve some of those problems in which most people, like we did mention, just accept. So with that being said, they are taking many steps. They do have a very important timeline in which they are trying to achieve all of this, going through FDA approval and reaching the approval and regulatory approvals through places in Canada, the UK, the United States, etc. And I think that they are on the right track. And what I really do believe with this company, and something that I always do love whenever, especially if I invest into a company, which I have not invested into them yet, is the fact that they have a purpose. They have a why. And I think that that's so important for a company, because if you're a business that's just focused on making money, of course you can make money. There's always that. But whenever you're a company such as this one, and it's something that we see with these biomedical companies a lot, is the fact that when they have such a strong why, whenever they're trying to solve hundreds of thousands of deaths, hundreds, even millions of cases of addictions within things such as alcohol, opioid, smoking, etc. Whenever they have that large amount of people in which they can help, that is going to provide them with the why as to they are going to keep going. Whenever they're tired, whenever they don't want to go to work, whenever they don't feel like going to, try to get all these things through clinicals, they have that such strong why as to why they're doing this, that it is going to empower them to make the best moves for this company possible. Now, this is Timothy Co. He is, of course, the CEO at Entheon BioMedical, and I think that, as I did just mention their strong why, I think it's important to talk a bit about him and as to why he is he's a very perfect example of someone who could be leading a company like this one in developing such a strong product that can help so many people. It says here that Timothy Co. has a broad background of leading private ventures in the service sector, investor relations, retail, and technology. Timothy's passion for the psychedelic space is shaped by firsthand knowledge of the shortcomings of the current mental health system and through his exposure to psychedelics, which he credits with saving his life. So like I said, this isn't just about the money. This isn't just about being a successful businessman. This is about providing other people with the opportunities in which were presented to him in order to save his life. And that is why I believe that a company like this one sometimes is just destined for success, just because of the fact that they have such strong motivation. And I absolutely love that. That is by far one of my favorite aspects about this company itself. So this company has been taking many steps in order to further expand how they are going to be addressing this issue, how they are going to get, certain psychedelics such as DMT on the market, and how they are going to make sure it is as safe as possible. Now, one way they are going to be doing this is through their subsidiary Halogen Life Sciences. Now, this is a wholly owned subsidiary of Entheon, which is in the business of developing and commercializing a genetic test designed to identify specific DNA biomarkers in order to gauge the risk of potential adverse reactions toward hallucinogenic drugs. So basically, whenever we do consider, okay, we got to get psychedelics onto the market, we have to get things like DMT onto the market in order to help with depression, anxiety, addictions, etc. But how are we going to do this in the most efficient and safe way possible? Because of course there could be adverse effects of giving someone DMT. Of course, certain psychedelics may make people trip. I mean, they might go crazy. And so with that being said, there's going to be certain safeguards that are going to be necessary, not only to even get it on the market itself, but to get regulatory approval, because the FDA is not just going to clear something that has people just tripping out all over the place, right? So what they're doing is using one of their subsidiaries that can take a measure of your DNA and it can check for certain markers that will typically provide them with an idea if you are going to even be if there's going to be benefit of giving you a psychedelic in order to help with some of your disorders, etc. Or if it's just going to be, just really bad, and if it might hurt you more than help you, then realistically they're not going to give it to you, and you're going to have to find another solution, or maybe they will offer you a different solution. So that's definitely a big move by them. I think it's going to be very important, especially with the regulatory approval side of things, and I think going forward, this is going to serve as a very, very beneficial factor. Also, they are starting to get some recognition amongst, certain different areas whenever it comes to the psychedelic industry itself. itself. As we can see here, Entheon BioMedical was to be included in the first North American psychedelic ETF. So as we can see here, this is one, it started trading in January of 2021, and the fact that they were included within this ETF and the fact that it was the first big psychedelic ETF to ever hit the market definitely shows that people recognize the potential of Entheon and that going forward that they may be one of the forefront runners in this industry, especially in North America. So as you can see on your screen now, I have pulled up their expected timeline of how far they were going to be going and how they're going to reach FDA approval. Now, this is not going to be a very fast process. As we can see, they are expecting to hit FDA approval in about 2026, and that is why I said I believe that they are where cannabis was in about 2014, 2015. I would say they're still about 5 years behind. Now, as we can see, they did do some financial raisings in 2020. They started to finally get out their name and they're starting to raise capital in order to get processes going. They're going to be expecting to do FDA pre-meetings and start to really gather a lot of information that is going to be necessary for their studies. In 2022, they're going to really start to hone down going into the phase 1 and phase 2 studies. And as soon as that phase 2 study data is available, they're hoping to push into phase 3 in 2024, submit their NDA in 2025, and hopefully reach FDA approval in 2026. So of course, as I did mention before, this is one that is going to take time and it is still in the developmental phase, and I think that provides people with a major opportunity to get in on a company or get into an industry that only realistically is going to see growth from this point, as it is just the very beginning. So just to get an idea of what this stock has done in the past, we can see here that its current stock price is sitting at about 50 cents. Now its 52-week range is going to be between 49 cents and $1.50, so it is sitting at that lower level of the 52-week range. Now its volume is at about 24,597 with average volume at around 259,000. So as we can see, over the last year, it has not had the best performance in the stock price in all honesty, but I do believe that as this industry does continue to grow, as it gains a lot of notoriety amongst society itself, I think that is when we will really start to see these stocks that are going to be focused around psychedelics really start to take off. I think they are still in that phase where not really no one really knows about them all that much. No one's really all too excited about psychedelics, and I think as the future does come forward, as there is more FDA approval for stocks and companies and products like these, as we do start to see more legalization and decriminalization of the certain products that they offer, I think at that point is whenever we will start to see this stock really take off. So who knows, this could be a fantastic buying opportunity to get into this industry very early. So that being said, if I do make the decision to invest in this company, I would definitely let you know. I do want exposure to the psychedelic industry, so who knows, this might be the one. With that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did, you can let me know by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new. With that being said, I do post on this channel 2 to 3 times every single day, and I can't wait to see you all next time. Peace.